Welcome to the place where paths collide. Crossroad Conversations, let's take the ride. From shadows deep to the light we see. Stories of strength, the voices speak.
What's up, Worcester? This is Jacqueline with Women Strong Recovery and Wellness Coaching, and this is Crossroad Conversations. This is season 2, episode 4, and I'm really excited to have this guest because I don't know him personally, so this is really something that I get to find out while you're finding out who he is, what he does, and the work behind him. I know that I've been watching over social media and seeing the impact. I've had guests on here that have already been impacted by his work. So I think this is really great for us to learn together and to really learn about how folks are taking their own experience and using it for good in the community. It's also a time where we start to highlight June's Mental Health Awareness Month. So Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, which is really important for, I think, just this platform and the work that we're doing to highlight the work that's going on, but the things that are not being said that can be said here today, and give someone hope that there's resource for them, there's hope for them, there's a different way to live, and that they're not alone. And as we said in episode 3, you are enough. So I'm going to welcome Trischtin. Hi.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So just let us know exactly what your title is, what you do here.
All right, so my name's Trischtin. I'm a man in recovery. I'm a father in recovery. Professionally, I'm the CEO of Recovery Collaboration Project. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. Also, I'm born and raised in Worcester. I come from a good sized family, you know what I mean? My family's like pretty much like well known for positivity in this community and stuff like that, whether it's through sports or community activism. And then, yeah, you have me that's now getting involved the recovery route and helping other people out because I'm in recovery, and I feel it's only right for, and it's my calling to help others out. Yeah.
So what is Recovery Collaborations? What exactly is that work?
Recovery Collaboration Project is a nonprofit organization that I created, in which we help individuals with sober health scholarships. We help them with peer mentoring, and we help them with rides to and from treatment. Also, once they're accepted into a sober house, if they need assistance with IDs, birth certificates, social security cards, even like a simple care package, right? Because like a lot of them aren't working but planning to work and stuff like that. And sometimes I can be like a deterrent, like, oh, I don't want to go to this house because I don't have sheets, I don't have fresh underwear, socks, or something like that. So what my agency provides are those things to get the person as comfortable as possible to get them to walk through the door.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just thinking about just having your basic necessities met, right? That need met, like what that does for a person as far as like giving them that dignity and like honor in that space. So I really love that mission of like what is it that you need, so you don't have to, doesn't have to be another thing, loaded up on your plate.
Well, that was like the idea that I was like going with. Like I wanted to like keep it very simple, but like be impactful. Like, you know what I mean? So like I said, I'm in recovery, and like I had been through this process like a million times until I made the decision to stop using, right? But prior to that, right, I had gone there. I had gone to different programs, sober houses, and stuff like that. And sometimes that would be because I didn't have family support because I pushed them away. Is that I'd be like, I don't want to go to a program because then I have to go ask. Yeah, it's a humbling feeling and all that, but I just wasn't there mentally, right? And so that would cause me sometimes to run out the door. So I was like, what can I do and like step in place to get that person to stay, right? Because part of my story is that like I had went to a halfway house for the millionth time. I was in detox like for the millionth time. I was in CSS for the millionth time, and I made a decision to go to a halfway house and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna say my family wasn't supportive or my friends or anything like that, but they had just heard it for the millionth time. You know what I mean? So I leaned on like similar agencies in which like I created and stuff like that to like at least get me kickstart me right until I could work on that reunification with family and friends and get people and get a job right so I could eventually support myself. Yeah. So.
And you say you're in recovery now and you tried it time and time and time again. What did that like when did that process start for you? When it was the first time like you went into treatment and then you kind of had this in and out experience? What do you think kept you going in and out as far as like services and just being willing or not willing to fulfill that role?
Well, if I'm like being honest, like going to treatment had become like a lifestyle for me. Like in and out of programs, it didn't matter. Like I tell people when I'm on commitments and stuff like that. Like it was nothing for me to start somewhere in the Cape in January and then like literally cross the state and be like in Springfield by August. And along that way, like I've hit every detox, every CSS, maybe a few halfway houses along the way, right? So that's what I mean when I said it had like just become a lifestyle. Like I would go in these places, I would clean up for a little bit, I'd get a job with little responsibility and stuff like that, save up a couple dollars, and then whatever the next opportunity presented itself, not necessarily positive, but negatively, I would jump on that, and then I would be off and running again. You know what I mean? And then I'd run around for a little bit, and then when I was tired or I was involved with the law or people were fed up with me and stuff like that, I'd be like, I know how to fix this. Let's go to treatment again. You know what I mean? And then I'd get some people back in my life and it'd be like the same cycle over and over and over. And yeah, I did that for like 8 to 10 years. Yeah, I did that for like 8 to 10 years. And then I don't know, like I wish like my story had like some like great like I had like some epiphany and some light was casted down on me and stuff like that, but that's just not my story. I was in trouble again. I had crashed my car again. I was not in my son's life again. My family wasn't in my life again, and I was actually running around Worcester, getting high and just causing chaos. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go get clean. And the person I was with doubted me and everything, and I was like, I don't even know who this person is. You gotta walk through the door right now. I want to know who this person is. And for some reason, I was like, I'm gonna show him that I'm gonna show him that I can do this. You know what I mean? And I say that because it's like it's not funny, but like when like my dad cried, I didn't listen. When my son was crying, I didn't listen. When my grandmother was crying, I didn't listen. When the courts told me to stop, I didn't listen. But running around Worcester and some stranger tells me that I can't do something. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show them, and that's exactly what I did. I went to CHL at the time when you could just walk in and get a bed, and I started my process there. Like, you know what I mean? And slept for a couple days, then I went to a better CSS because I didn't want to stay there for long. And when I was at that CSS, I I was like, I probably should go to a halfway house. You know what I mean? And so the counselor that I had at the time, his thing was like, write down the 3 halfway houses you want to go to. You know what I mean? And we'll put referrals into those places. And like I said, I was in and out all the time. That I always I always had like a juice card, right? I always knew an intake coordinator. I always knew a director of a program. I always, give me the phone. I can call this place and get a bed for myself. And 2 of the places were in Worcester. And both of the places in Worcester, I had already been there. I had already completed the program. And I've already gone back and got kicked out of the program. And the third option was a more strict program. You couldn't have your cell phone. You couldn't have bring your car. You had to share a house phone and all that. They made you work and all that good stuff. And I had heard about this program for years. It was called the Pathway House. And let me tell you, people aren't jumping to sign up for that program because it's so strict. But deep down inside, I was like, I need a strict program like that. You know what I mean? So my counselor said, hey, write the 3 houses. I wrote house 1, 2, and then 3. And he's like, oh, you want to go to the Pathway House? And I'm like, oh, no. He's like, I can get you a phone intake right now. And I'm like, yeah, of course you can, because no one in the day room looking to go to the Pathway House. And he gave me that cliche saying, like, well, why don't you go pray on it tonight and tell me and all that. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And before I left that office, I was like, let's just go to the Pathway House. And he's like, perfect. And he got me the phone intake, and within 24 hours, I was out in Gardner, Mass, at the Pathway House. And that's where my journey pretty much started. Yeah, that's where my journey started for recovery this time. And since then, I haven't found it necessary to pick up. Yeah. It's like 5 years ago.
Wow. So I'm thinking of like 8 to 10 years. My journey was different, I don't know, lucky or unlucky. Like I just came in, and the second time I came in, then like I've been able to sustain. Yeah. What I find it interesting is you kind of remind me of one of my friends, Junior. He passed. But that very, very I don't know, flamboyant, but like excited attitude, and like very like could make friends with whoever, and like call up the like halfway house and be like, hey, remember me? And they would, right? But I wonder, with doing that for 8 to 10 years, like what did that look like before, like your journey of like getting into the cycle of detox and halfway houses and stuff? Like, did you like in high school and you know have troubles like with school? Like what did that look like? Because I feel like there had to be something before like the journey of like.
So like when I was younger, of course, I went to keg parties, I drank and stuff like that, but like drugs wasn't part of my story. Like I played high school sports, but I was always a behavioral problem. Like I got kicked out of school, I got expelled from schools, all that stuff. So eventually, like I had graduated high school and everything like that, and by me hanging with the wrong crowd at that point or whatever, I was introduced to a different lifestyle. And that was either like breaking the law, acting like a knucklehead, and stuff like that. So through that lifestyle, I was introduced to like selling drugs and all that stuff. And then I didn't know what I didn't know. So I knew what I knew from like rap songs. You know what I mean? Like you don't do certain type of drugs because you don't do it. You know what I mean? And then I had my friends that weren't involved with drugs, and they might have been selling them or something like that, but they're like, yo, we don't get high. We don't get high. Like that's taboo. But then because I played so much high school sports and I played travel basketball and I knew everyone. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Worcester and I know everyone from all different parts of the city or whatever. Like some people were involved with drugs, you know what I mean? And me not knowing what I didn't know, um, when that opportunity presented itself, I hopped into it. You know what I mean? And yeah, so like I hopped into it and I started exploring with drugs and everything like that, and then that took a life on of its own, you know, and like, and it has nothing to do with my family or anything like that, but there wasn't like an intervention and this is what we're going to do because you're now involved in this. It wasn't like that. I actually learned about um like spectrum and detoxes and all that from the people I was hanging out with and selling drugs to. They were like, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay, that's like where you go. And they put me on a spectrum, and then I'd like to think I'm a pretty smart person, and sometimes I could feel like I'm very intellectual, and I was like, oh man, I was so full of myself and everything back then. So like when I got involved, well, introduced to I don't want to say recovery, treatment. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I know how to manipulate this system. Like, what? I got mass health. You can leave. You can come back. You can say you're gonna do something without really have to doing it. It's the law. They have to take me back. You know, oh, like, yo, this is, I could come here. I can hang out for a little bit. I can get my life together. Everyone can be happy. You know what I mean? And so at first I started off with just like the detox is 7 days and then get out or whatever like that. And then like, during the detox or whatever, someone was like, yo, there's another program that you can go for like 14 to 28 days. And I'm like, oh, you can? And so then I started that detox and CSS detox. And I would go home and sleep on my grandmother's couch, or my dad would take me back in, and then something would happen again and I'd go back. So now I'm like detox, CSS, and people put me on there and they're like, yo, you should probably go to a program or a halfway out. And I'm like, why? Why would I do that? Yeah. Like, why? Well, and they're like, because they're like a drug addict. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I'd like to indulge in drugs. Yeah, I like to party. Yeah, I like to like, but I'm not an addict. Like, this isn't like, I'm not, homelessness is not part of my story. I'm not, like, all the stigmas that come with addiction. I was like, that's not me. That's not me. My dad still answers the phone. My sister still love me. I can always go to my grandmother's house. I'm not stealing the TV. You know what I mean? And so that's like what I like held my head high on. I'm like, no, I'm not like these people like that or whatever like that. And so now I'm at the process. I'm going to detox, CSS, and I go to my first halfway house. And it's funny because I went to my first halfway house and I had no idea what was going on. Yeah. Like they would like say, "Hey, you got to go to meetings and stuff like that," and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." Like, oh, you know what I mean? And I would hang out with these people and I'd go to the meetings, but I'd never go inside, and I'd be like, if I had to use the bathroom or something, I'd be like, oh, I'd look at people sitting down talking, I'd be like, oh, I wonder what they're talking about, but whatever. I was so like, naive. I was so like gone. And at the halfway house, they would also be like, hey, did you find a sponsor? I'm like, what are they talking about? Go to meetings, find a sponsor. These people are crazy, you know what I mean? And then the opportunity presented itself to get high. I got high. They kicked me out the house, and I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll start this again. I'm going back to Worcester or whatever like that. My family at that time would take me back in or whatever, and then I would do something to mess that up, and then I would go sleep at a friend's house or Graham's house or whatever, and I'd start the process all over again. And now this time, maybe I'm at a program that's like an RP or social model program, and I'm learning a little bit more, like, you know what I mean? And I'm still not thinking like I have a problem like that or whatever, but I'm like, oh, well, I've never really been responsible, accountable, or truthful or whatever. So maybe these people kind of know what's up, and maybe those things are happening to me, but when I'm ready, I'll start acting responsible. I'll start being accountable and stuff like that. And the opportunity would present itself to get high, go act like a knucklehead, I'd get kicked out, and I'd start the process all over again. And through these detoxes and these programs, and I would hear, like, oh, you know, they got programs in Boston. You know, they got programs in the Cape. You know, they got programs in Springland. And I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Oh, there's a detox out in Brockton. Let's try that detox. And then I'd meet some people or whatever like that. And they're like, you want a further treatment? And I'm like, no, why? What are you going to do? And I'm like, oh, I'm about to leave. I'm like, all right, let's leave. And now I'm out in Brockton for like a couple weeks. And you know what I mean? Then I'd find my way back to Worcester. And then whatever opportunity presented itself to get high, I got high, and I went and I hopped around, and I'd be in and out, and I would just be like, yeah, it's like a poor way. It's not like it is a poor way of living, but I thought like, this is great because I can go to these places, take advantage of these people and stuff like that, and not be held accountable, because I know like my family and my loved ones and my friends, like they'd be like, you're getting older, like you probably should start like thinking about a job. And I'm like, nah. Like I don't want to go do those things because I can't get high at my dad's house. I can't be a knucklehead at Graham's. I can't be a knucklehead at my sister's. So I just like engulfed myself with like treatment, and just took advantage of it, and would be in and out and in and out. And like I was that guy. I was known. The minute I walked in, they'd be like, oh, Trischtin's here, whatever. But then like the staff would cringe, be like, what version of Trischtin are we getting? Are we getting like, is he tired and beat up? Is he on one and he's about to turn this program inside out? Did he bring drugs in? Is he about to have someone drop drugs off? Like, you know what I mean? There was always so many different versions of me that like people would be like, huh. And then obviously living like that, I would start getting kicked out of these places and start getting banned from these places. And then I went through that period of time. I'd be like, damn, I can't go to no treatment centers in Central Mass. Like, they must be hating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, what the? I never looked at myself like I was a problem. You know what I mean? I always looked at it like, oh, these weirdos, like, you know, then, well, they allow me to go there and just let me do my thing. Then I wouldn't be acting out. Then I wouldn't be doing these things. And yeah, I was, like I said, like I was just so naive and so like self-centered and so like I was gone.
And I think this is like, I kind of keep going back a little bit just because I think that there's probably many, guys that are going through that situation, right? Of like thinking like, well, this is going to be the best outcome for now, and then one day maybe I'll get it together or not, because then I die, right, from like using. But you hit on something that just, and I think when I'm thinking of just like, I had a younger brother, and his experience of like being, you said, a knucklehead in school, or being, or acting out. I wonder, like, how did that shape you, like, in the way that you looked at the way you were handling the rest of your life? Because if I'm thinking about acting out, like, there's a reason, right? Like, there's some, whether it's, mental health, or whether it's like, well, the program that you were in wasn't working. Like, it's not what you needed. Tristan needed a totally different like outlet or whatever. Like, do you think that, like, could you see that now of like what it was that you actually needed versus what you weren't getting, that like led to like a lot of this?
Uh, well, I didn't like speak on this or whatever, but like my mother passed away from drug addiction and overdose and stuff like that. So, but my dad's was like a single parent. They weren't together. So even when that happened, it wasn't like, she wasn't involved in my life. You know what I mean? She was in and out and stuff like that. So like, maybe when that happened now, like looking back at it, whatever, like I always thought like maybe I had like a resentment towards my dad a little bit, because like it was like, mom passed away and how didn't your world stop? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And then uh the school aspect, I was just like, yeah, I would just be like, I can get away with everything. Like, I'm funny, I'm popular, I'm good looking. My teacher and my dad used to be like, yo, that cuteness isn't gonna last forever. You're gonna get old, you know, and these girls are gonna stop liking you. Like, yo, you might want to learn something. Or I'm like, nah, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. And yeah, it was probably like just the loss of like my mother. Like I said, my dad was a single father, and I'm not saying this like in a negative way or anything, but like he had to do what he had to do to provide, because it's me, my two sisters, and my brother. So there's a single father of four. You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, what did that look like? That looked like me and my brothers and my sisters. We watched a lot of each other. You know what I mean? And so that we didn't miss a Christmas, so that we didn't miss a meal, so that the lights stayed on. You know what I mean? And so uh, maybe being exposed to like all these like different lifestyles, in a sense that like bouncing from Graham's house, that there was no rules, no structure, anything like that, and ripping running the streets, to like going back to dad's during the week. And then when the friends got involved, like I wanted to hang out with certain friends that dad would allow, and I wanted to hang around with certain friends that Graham wasn't aware of. Like, you know what I mean? It was always like manipulating, conniving, always getting over on someone. And I would say like the joy, like, you know what I mean? Oh, I got to do what I wanted. Like, dad thought I was at Graham's for the weekend, but guess what? I got to go sleep out. I got to sleep at this girl's house. I got to go meet up with this person. And even though dad wouldn't tolerate that, but like I would then come back at the end of the weekend, go back to dad's house, and like he didn't ask how was Graham's. Oh, it was great, you know what I mean? And then that was it. All right, cool. I got over on him. You know, I can't wait till Friday, because this Friday is really on. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and sleep over two different people's houses. I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna go to this keg party. I'm gonna do this or whatever like that. And it was just always like finding a fix. Like, you know what I mean? Always finding uh like a fix to like fill that hole. Like whether it was like to numb the pain from mom, but like also like just finding myself, like as a young man, like just finding myself, and being influenced in different ways that weren't necessarily the the best influences, but still consciously knowing that's not the best, but I'm gonna somehow, some way get good out of that. And so I can do what I want to do and be who I want to be. And life doesn't work like that. Like, you know what I mean? You don't get to do negative things, participate in negative things, and I really expected positive consequences though. Like I was like delusional to a certain extent. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, so that's how it was like a lot before. So that's why when I say like it was like a lot of behavioral before the alcohol and drug use, and it was those things that like just acting out, that got me to where I was at that time. And that attitude and those behaviors, right, also closed like a lot of doors at a young age, because like that I was also like what they used to say back, like a trouble kid. You know what I mean? So like, I was kind of like that kid, like your parents didn't want you hanging out with, but you know what I mean? So it was just always something.
Yeah.
It was And then in between, I'd play high school sports, I'd play travel basketball, like, yeah, it was always something though, like, like I'd get arrested at DYS and all. It was always like, I always had like a run of like a couple months of being good, and then like a shoe would drop.
Yeah.
And then I'd be arrested for being a knucklehead, and then I'd go through that process, and then yeah, it was always something.
I can imagine that shapes the way you start to view
Yeah.
how people, see you or protect you or are there for you in that way.
Yeah, and obviously, I'll forever say like, yo, I had nothing to like do with my dad or anything like that, but like having so much freedom like at a young age allowed me to like explore positive. Like I don't want to say like there was nothing positive that came out of my child. No, like
Yeah.
he provided everything. Went on family vacations, boys and girls club, did everything in Worcester. You know what I mean? But there was a large part of me too that did a lot of negative things and a lot of things that shaped me to go in a direction negatively. You know what I mean? So it was just like, yeah, it was just, yeah. So I always joke, uh, like I've been sitting in circles since a young kid, and when I say that, like, right, I've been always in principal's office, and I would always be in the counselor's office, and I'd always be in the therapist's office, and uh, it'd be like me, my dad, and whatever professional, and we'd come up with some game plan, and I'd be like, I'd be crying, I'm gonna be the best kid, and we're here to help you, and this is what you need to do to turn things around, and everyone would do their hugs, and they'd always be like, Trischtin, you have the greatest potential. Like, my dad would be like, don't tell him that, because that allows him to know that he's capable of doing something without having to do it. Like, yeah. And so I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Boom. So I'd give my group hugs, and I'd shed my tears, and then the minute I hit the office door, like it would all go out the window. I'd be like, huh? Like, and I'd be back in trouble within the week. My dad, like, yo, we just came up with a plan on how you were gonna turn things around, and I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, what happened? And I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? And it was just like me just acting out, and like maybe that's what it was, right? Like at that point, like I was getting attention that way, you know what I mean? And some attention's better than no attention, right? Even like processing that as a kid, that was probably like the excuse, or I don't want to say the excuse, but like just going through that as a kid, but not understanding the process of that. Like obviously as an older adult now, I can easily say that, and through my education and everything, yeah, I can sit here and be like, oh, how to process things, and how, and find the underlying issues of why you were doing those things. But obviously when I was going through those things when I was 9, 10, 11, like I had no idea. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah.
You're like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to get by.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you get in, you like, okay, 8 to 10 years of doing this repetitive behavior in the halfway houses and everything, you say you get to the pathway.
Yeah.
What in that shifted you? What was that like? Was that your last halfway house?
That was
That was the moment?
That was my last halfway house, and that was my last halfway house, and like I laugh now because like like sometimes like people want to be like, oh, like what. I was like, I had done the wrong thing and been so negative for so long. I was actually curious on what the right thing was, right? Like I had already gotten the same results over and over by doing the wrong thing. I was like, what if I did the right thing? Like, what? Where will my life go then? Like, what if I started being accountable, responsible, being a father to my son? What if I wasn't being, what if I go to this halfway house and don't deviate? What if I don't sneak in this phone when they said there's no phone? What if I did the things they asked? And I was like, oh, maybe I'll try that. And like, that's what got me to go. Like, I want to actually go and like, because I'm curious about what life looks like when you're doing the right thing. Because I had done the wrong thing for so long, and so once I started doing that, and I liked the results, I was like, all right, Tristan, now it's kind of like time to make a decision, because like there's no sense in doing this all this time if you're gonna go back out, because you might as well go out now. You know what I mean? Because I had done it so many times. So it was like, yeah. And then I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to I'm going to put my best foot forward, so they say, right? I'm going to give this a true, honest opportunity and stuff like, and see, and really see where it takes me, and not only give like 100%, but I'm gonna give like 110%. Like, you know what I mean? I'm actually, maybe I don't have all the answers, and I'm gonna take suggestions. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'm gonna do the things the way they're laid out, and just try things that way. And so, like, that was my like coming to moment of like, making the right choice. I often joke though. I was like, yo, come on, like I'm in Gardner, Mass. I'm black. At the time I had dreads, so I'm like, bro, you're in Gardner, Mass. You're a brother. You got dreads. I'm like, yo, your life is not hitting if you're all the way out here in these sticks and no one looks like you, and you have to go somewhere that has limited cellular service. It's in the middle of nowhere. They don't give you no privileges like that, and you like literally have to be locked in a house. It's probably best like you figure some things out. So that's exactly like what I did. And then like obviously up through like all the ins and outs, like I picked up like stuff along the way, like whether it was through 12-step help and therapy and stuff like that. So I just started like implementing those things in my life. You know what I mean? And days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and then like I got the year, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. Like I got like my son back in my life, my family was back in my life, and uh, it was like I have arrived moment, and for some reason I don't know, the vision in my right eye started like going blurry. And I thought it was because I was in Gardner, Mass, and there's uh, pollen, and I had allergies or something like that. And come to find out, as the eye got worse or whatever, I was diagnosed with MS. Yeah, and the vision in my right eye was going or whatever like that, and that was like another moment. I was like, "Oh, this excuse is good enough for like people to kind of understand, like." You were diagnosed with MS, so like you said the hell with this, and you return back to old behaviors. Like I could work that angle a little bit, so I thought I could, and I was like, but what if we don't work that angle? What if we do the right thing? What if you like reach out and ask for help and do all that good stuff that like you were taught to do the past, like I think I was like 8 or 9 months sober at the time. So like the past 8 or 9 months that they say like, why don't you use your tools and utilize your coping skills? So like, what if I did that? And that's what I did. You know what I mean? And I did, and I reached out to my network, and they were very supportive, and I started that process of MS and getting transfusions and changing my lifestyle, like my diet and all that good stuff. And then an opportunity presented itself, and they were like, you ever thought about like going to school? Well, like, yeah, oh, who knows? Like, you know. And the gentleman was like, "Well, I got this scholarship for you to get your late act or whatever. If you want it, just apply. If you don't want it, oh well." Like, you know. So I was at home and I applied, and like 2 days later, I got the scholarship, and so I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, we're doing this, and the class started like the following week. So I did that. That took like 18 months or whatever, and like through that process, everyone else there was like had like their masters, their bachelors, associates, and I had went to like Quincy for like a semester or two, and they were like, "You probably should go back to school," and like, I don't know, and so then I was like, yeah, "Let's try it," you know what I mean? And I went back to school, and so then I went back to college, graduated college, completed the license course, became a licensed counselor, all that stuff, and like officially started my pathway in the career that I now work in. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's been cool. It's yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did it look like in that halfway house, right? When you're like maybe the veil is starting to come down, right? Like you're like, okay, like things start to open up because now for the first time maybe you're doing things you say you're doing things different,
Yeah.
right? So what do you start to notice in the way you're carrying yourself, in the habits you're carrying, and like how that shifting like relationships and shifting, you talked about like people started to come back, but like what was it that they were noticing? What were you noticing? And how you started to interact again and reintegrate into those like relationships and stuff?
I would say like these are like good questions because like they're like questions that like when I'm like laying in bed, like I'm like, "Oh, well, when did you start realizing you changed and stuff?" And like it makes me remember like those moments or whatever, and like they're so like they're so they're like so I feel like they might be stupid to someone else, but it was like the world to me, right? And if I'm speaking my truth or whatever, I think it was like when I engaged with in a conversation and actually cared to have the conversation, and like I actually cared for the person's response rather than being like, yeah, 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 and I walk away and like I would talk shit under my breath, like, you know what I mean? So maybe when I found myself like, oh, I'm actually curious on well, what this person's response is going to be. I'm interested in and I truly want the best outcome for this person. And then I'd walk away or something like that, and I'd be like, oh, you didn't say nothing under your breath, like, and then I'd follow up with them or something, and then I'd walk away. What the hell? Am I like changing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you really starting to care? Like, are you really like, oh, this is different. You know what I mean? Oh, like someone would share a problem and like you really genuinely want to be and assist them in the solution to it and like putting them first. How can I be the best version of myself to help that person? You know what I mean? And get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once I started like seeing those little behaviors change, I was like, I could kind of like this. You know what I mean? I'll share this story. I think my family started seeing something change is when we all went out to eat and whatever, and I didn't order the most expensive thing on the menu. Like my sister said something like, "What? Oh, like you don't want the lobster or the steak?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Whoa, that's different."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? They're like, why? You usually order the most expensive thing and something to go. And I'm like, I do? And they're like, yeah, and you're known to bring a friend. And I'm like, for real? And they're like, how? Yeah, you were always rude. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'd be like, oh, maybe something is changing. You know what I mean? So like, people see it in you before you see it in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like those little things.
I love that. I always say I'm naturally a taker.
Yeah.
So like, what do you have for me? What can you do for me? Like, what does that look like? That, and
Yeah.
it's not usually like I wasn't going out looking for a reciprocal relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
yeah.
give me, give me, give me. So, and then another thing, I noticed the change for me was the road rage. Like,
Yeah.
I had been doing like yoga and meditation and like doing stuff like that, but you know, the moment, and I was like, I always tell the story about like me rolling down the window, like my manual like thing in my Toyota, swearing and yelling, and then like, one day just like driving and being like, someone cut me off and not reacting, like, and being like, oh, like maybe something's working, like, and that was like, those are pivotal moments that might seem so, minuscule to someone, and you're like, but for me it would really like shifted, like, and had me stop and pause and be like, oh,
Yeah.
something's changing, something's working. What is it that's working? What does that look like? And what are the things that I'm doing and implementing in my life that are making the change? Because when you're used to doing something for so long, that's what your brain just goes to, like, it's just like we like to do the same thing over and over. So when you don't respond in that way, it really is like one of those like moments of like, oh, something's happening,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love that, like, you can look back on that and see.
But I also like in like the recovery aspect, like looking back, and like this is just something I live by too. Like I realized like it also had to like translate into like my recovery. And what I mean by that, like you could say I was so broken, but I was like, I'd rather say I was so like beat up, like, and I was so like, my thinking was so warped that like I had to surround myself with people that had like, so I thought like proper thinking. You know what I mean? So I couldn't, like how you share about like the road rage and stuff like that, like yeah, I could think about that, and that's what I probably should be doing, but I had to like surround myself with people that didn't act out on road rage. You know what I mean? I had to see people live their life in their truth, and have like everyday examples all day in front of me, and then also like then, so like I said, surround myself around those people, because water seeps its own level. And that's also like what I was known for through my journey of always in and out of these programs, right? So it was like nothing for me to be like in a program in Worcester and chilling on Main Street.
Yeah.
And like even people were like, what the hell? I think I should have seen Trischtin on Main Street. Isn't he at the Channing House? Like, yo, dude's in a program chilling on Main Street. Like, you know what I mean? Or I'd get a pass and I'd be somewhere where I wasn't supposed to be. You know what I mean? So definitely like seeing these behaviors change, but like surrounding myself with like the right people and people that were progressing in life. Like, you know what I mean? I needed that. That was for me. You know what I mean? I couldn't think like I can come up with a plan now and today and stuff like that, but at that moment, like I couldn't figure out, like I had to take someone else's blueprint and like follow that or whatever like that, because I liked how the results that they got, so I would just like do that and stuff like that, and then until I got to a point where I was able to come up with my own ideas and make my own decisions and stuff like that. Yeah.
And when do you think that started? So you get your LADAC, you get your license, you start to work in the field, or like what does that start to look like? And then how do you start to shape like things that work personally for you versus like what you would maybe guide someone else to?
Oh, so at first I started like everyone does out of recovery, right? I'm working at the local detox or whatever, passing out cigarettes, making taking head counts, and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm more than this. Like even doing that, I'm like, oh, I'm not really trying to pass out cigarettes and count people every top of the hour. Like I'm more than this. And so then, like, I was doing my thing there and everything like that, and it was just very mundane. And a therapist took a liking to me. I don't know why. And he's like, I think you have like that ugly word potential, and I see something in you. I don't know. There's something about you or whatever. And I was like, well, if I'm being honest, I guess I just signed up for this LADAC course. Like, and he was like, oh, that's great, and you can do this and you can do that, and I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? And plus, like being from Worcester and um, knowing a lot of people, I've also seen people turn their lives around and be like successful in recovery. So like, I was like, I'm interested in that. You know what I mean? So, um, that's what I did. I like came up with like a plan now because now I can make my own decisions and follow my own plans and stuff like that. So I made that decision. I started following that plan, and then I worked for a nonprofit agency at of Fitchburg and stuff like that, and we were helping people left and right. But then I was like, no, no one looks like me. Like, you know what I mean? Like no one looks like me. This isn't like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what the? I swear we have like a BIPOC grant, and there's no black people around here except me. But like, we're not even helping out. Like, and I'm like, nah, let's. And then there were stigmas to certain types of people like that might didn't present themselves in the best way. And I'm like, but I've been there. You know what I mean? And why should they get any less of a service than someone that comes in probably a little bit more clean cut or in a different situation? It's still like the same thing. So I worked for that nonprofit for a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. I can, I really want to help people that look like me. I really want to help people that like are in the trenches. I really want to help people that people have given up or they've given up on themselves because they've done this for the millionth time. You know what I mean? They were in their process again, and it wasn't in a good place in their process or whatever. And I want to show them, and not only show them, but help and provide for them that, like, guess what? Like, you might be in the process for the millionth time, but if you stick to it, like, you can still come out on the other end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I sat at that nonprofit, and I just like soaked up all the game. Like I would ask like the executive director question after question, and I would like, can I look at the grant? Can I see this? Can I see that? And he was like, I don't think he had any idea like what I was trying to do, and I wasn't doing anything in like a vindictive way or whatever like that. But I think he was like looking so past me, like you know what I mean. He was like looking so past me, and I just sat there, and I was like, I remember calling my dad, and I'm like, yo, Dad, it's kind of chaos here, whatever. But I can sit here and I can learn because it was so chaotic, but also I could learn a lot, like what's going on, versus than something that might have been more organized, but they might not have shared that information with me because they might have been like, you don't need to know these things.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was at a agency that was a little chaotic, and the guy shared a lot of information with me and stuff like that, along with me researching and stuff like that. And yeah, that's when I just came up with the idea for my nonprofit, and I was like, I'm just gonna help as many people as possible, like,
Yeah.
and try and help as many people as possible, regardless of their situation, but also while helping them in doing this, um, show them that, like, you know what, like, there are people out here that look like you. You know what I mean? And especially with recovery being such a broad spectrum nowadays, that like sometimes like it can be intimidating because the person helping them might have a polo on or a collared shirt or a tie and all that. Like, that's definitely not in my wardrobe.
No.
So like, hey, guess what? Like, you can get the same benefits as that tailored person um with me too, and I just have a black shirt on and khakis, and you can still start your journey and without any intimidation for whatever biases that individual might have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was like kind of like my motive at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
I think it's important, and I'll go back because obviously me, as a woman of color, like I came, Cape Verdean, Puerto Rican, like I grew up all around, like we had that. And you said something in the beginning about not knowing about detox and spectrum, and like someone you were like out on the street with knew.
Yeah.
And that was like a part of my story too, where I was 28, 29,
Mm.
and for the first time, going in, I didn't know about detox. I didn't know about halfway houses, know about sober houses. I didn't know any of these existed because they didn't exist in my community for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that it's such, and when you go in a room and you're like 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30, when you're like, well, I know we're suffering, right? Because I mean, it's not just me that was like drinking and drugging and like living this chaotic life. I came from that. I'm surrounded by that. Most everyone that I was around was affected by, drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, etc., etc. So I think the importance of highlighting, you know, the fact that like you're a man of color, your experience, what that looks like, and having that representation
Yeah.
is huge,
Mhm.
right? So what have you noticed in your programming and your ability to speak your truth in that? How have you noticed your program impact, the BIPOC community and folks coming in?
Well, at first, like when I like introduce myself and I'm like, well, they're always like, "Who you work for?" Like, you know what I mean? First, I'm like, "No, this is my thing." And, for real, you started this? Like, yo, it's you. You're gonna be working with me, like, and then like if I tell them some credentials and what you, well, I'm like, dude, it's 2026. Like, you know what I mean? First of
But
all,
it's still a thing.
yeah, it's still a thing, but I'm like, it's 2026.
Mm.
Like, come on. And but I think that also like allows me to like just be myself and show my truth and let them know that I'm no better and you're no less than me. You know what I mean? I'm just at a different stage than where you are right now. Like, you know what I mean? And once I'm able to talk to individuals like that, and most importantly, show them and support them and show up for them, whether it's court, whether it's helping with a sober house call, they're like, oh yeah, okay, like
Real deal.
yeah, like I got this, I got this individual that I was working with, detox. He did a program, sober house, and now he's working. Like, you know what I mean? And he's a brother, and he's like, yo, like, yo, I remember you told me like, yo, like these things would happen, and there was plenty of phone calls and plenty of conversations where you're like, but how do you know? Like, how do? And I'd be like, I don't know, but I do know that if you stay the course, the rest will fall into place. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's pretty cool. Like to like he called today coming from work,
Mm.
and I went, oh yeah. He's like, yo, can you believe? Yo, I'm back in the kitchen. I'm cooking, and he's cooking at the establishment where he went for detox and got clean. So he's like, oh, uh, he sometimes be like, oh, I'm doing it just like you. I'm like, no, don't do it like me. Like, yo, create your own path, create your own path. But like, yeah, like so showing them that and like just yeah, we do get better. We do not only get better, but we also do hold positions in the community, and we also show up for our people along with everyone else. Like, you know what I mean? And it's very doable.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
So what are some of the ways that you're personally showing up for yourself in your recovery that allow you to continue the work that you're doing?
So get a therapist. Get a therapist. I have an amazing therapist. Uh and he's like on call. Like, get a therapist. Like, you know what I mean? And also I do like a lot of like sober activity things. So like I play like sober softball. I play on a sober softball team, and we just traveled to California a couple months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're going to Florida at the end of the summer. So we played in like sober worlds and stuff like that.
I
Yeah,
didn't even realize that was the thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've been seeing it. I think Francisco tried from Hector Reyes to get me to play last year, and I'm like, I'm not playing softball. Like you're not hitting me with a ball.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a whole community, and
that's amazing.
yeah. So like it's like those like sober activities, and just like and now that like because of the work that I'm doing, and like I don't want to say I'm doing less of like 12 step,
Yeah.
because I still hold a commitment like at the first Tuesday of every month at the treatment center I got clean at or whatever. I still go to meetings and all that stuff, but now like because of how my life has transcended into the place that it is today, I do more like community events, and I support people and they support me. So I think just doing that, like I know you guys are gonna be. I was talking to your camera guy. You guys are gonna be at the foundation on Saturday. Like I'm gonna be there. Yeah, like I'm gonna like and just partnering up with like different community agencies and stuff like that. That keeps me like what is it, copacetic too, and like on an even keel, like just always um helping out. Like, you know what I mean, in any form. And then, you know, as you continue to walk through doors, more doors open and people like put you on to different things, and so that's what that, and then like I have an amazing family. Like, you know what I mean? I have a baby girl, and I have a 7-year-old son, and I have a girlfriend, and going through all that process and stuff like that, and that's just like very having a baby girl, a daughter, is very humbling. It's very, very humbling, and that's been a journey, and yeah. Yeah, that's been a journey. Yeah.
Yeah, my last is a girl, and yeah, she's my little spicy nugget. And yeah, as soon as I think I'm healed,
Yeah.
she brings up something, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go heal again.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah, get to see a different lens.
Yeah. So,
Well, thank you. What would you tell a men group that's watching this today? What is the one thing that you would offer them in this space, maybe to help them move forward, or to, offer some, I don't know if it's advice or suggestion, more suggestion in this space?
I like some real cliche things, as in like put down the bat.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like put down the bat and like just do the next right thing. Like, you know, or like keep it simple. Like, you know, like being able to like go through this process and be where I'm at today, like looking back, that's like how I started my journey is very complex.
Yeah.
But what I've done once I made the conscious decision to stop, I feel it was pretty simple. And what I mean by simple with that was just by like keeping it simple. Like, you know what I mean? And taking it easy on myself and just make the best out of the day. You know what I mean? And yeah, like it'll all fall into place. I don't know when.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know what it looks like. But if you continue to do the right thing, the rest will fall into place.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like choosing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let us know again your organization.
All right, Recovery Collaboration Project. You can find us on Facebook. You can hit us on the wall. You can hit us up in message if you know or you yourself is looking for a sober health scholarship, a ride to treatment, any assistance with IDs, social security cards, birth certificates, any of that sort, any type of recovery navigation. You can reach us out once again, Recovery Collaboration Project on Facebook, and we'll answer immediately, and we'll get you to where you need to be, and service you for the need that you need.
I appreciate it. I love that. And so you heard it here. I think the most important thing is how can we support each other in community? But there are men here doing the work that have resource, that have experience, personal and professional experience. So I think that that's the biggest takeaway is that you're not alone. There are different ways that we can, get serviced. And so as we explore Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, just really take the time to, maybe reflect and think of the ways that you can maybe reach out or do something different. I appreciate you so much coming.
No, thank you for having me.
And this has been great. And so again, with What's Up Worcester, Women Strong Recovery and Wellness Coaching, you can find us on all social media platforms. What's Up Worcester is a nonprofit organization. So subscribe, like, share, comment. There is options to donate also. So thank you. Bye.
Welcome to the place where paths collide. Crossroad Conversations, let's take the ride. From shadows deep to the light we seek. Stories of strength, the voices speak.